what has left for us to finish this part of this project is to improve the user experience. And we have already done that under the CRUD operations by displaying loading and error. And for me, I have deleted all my posts. As you can see, we still see latest articles, even though we don't have any article or post yet. So we need to display something like no post found. So let's get into it, and let's begin with the listing of all posts. So over here, and that is inside the component of post, which is the post list. For the meantime, let's comment out the deleting of a post, and we will do that when we get to authentication. Because if you do the deleting, it means that anybody can delete a post, which is not the ideal way. So how are we going to display loading and error upon fetching? And lucky for us, we have all the properties here from React query. So we are going to display that. So before we go ahead and then render the JSX here, in this case, this component, we can display some alert. So here, I will say, show messages to the user, and it goes like this. Let's check for it's loading. So we will say that if it's loading, then we are going to return by displaying something like h1, and we will say loading. So this one is for is loading, and let's also check for is error. So it goes like this. If is error, remember we have all the properties here from the use query. So in case we have an error, then we will go ahead and display some error message, and we are going to use the error.message, which is this error.message. Remember, we can also have the error on what is called error.response.data.message, but let's maintain this one. So with this, let's try out. If I refresh it, as you can see, we saw the loading and we got the JSX, which is this. All right. So let's also go ahead and display something like no post found in case we don't have any post. So I will say no post found. And it goes like this. We are going to check data.post. So here as if data.post.length. If it is less than 0, then we know that we don't have any post, and we will go ahead and return by saying that h1 no post found. We're supposed to be less than or equal to 0, so here as that. And as you can see, we have no post found. So let's go ahead and use Tailwind CSS to style this component. So let's go ahead and create one component, and I'm going to name it as alert. And in here, I'll create one for no data found .jsx, and then let's scaffold that. And instead of using this, I'm going to use the component as no data found. And let's see. All right, cool. So let's go ahead and style this one. So I'm going to wrap this one inside JSX and provide h2, and I will say no post found. And let me add some Tailwind CSS classes as provide text dash center, and let's see, and let's provide margin top of say 6. All right, and that is it. You can customize this one to suit your need, but I want this component to be more dynamic. Sometimes we can display no user found, so I'm going to pass in as a prop, and I will say the text here, and I'm going to inject the text here. So which means that upon calling, I'm going to pass in the text as the prop, which is equal to no post found. Well, I have to destructure that as that, and now we got no post found. And then for the loading and then the error, I also have a component for it. So I'm going to copy that and then place it inside the alert, which is this. And also let me place it inside the template for future references. So let's look at the component for this. I'm using some React icons and some Tailwind CSS classes. And this component can represent loading, success, or error. This is where we pass in the type of the message, either error or success or loading. And then the actual message, which represents these guys. Let me show you the message here. We have the message here. So in case we want to display an error, we're going to pass in a type of error and then our message. So let me show you how we're going to use it. So over here, I'm going to bring in the alert message and set closing as that and provide a type. This one is for loading, and then the message, we will say loading, please wait. In case we have an error, we're going to use the same component, but instead provide a type of error, and then we will say that something happened. Or you can use the error message from the backend. Alright, so now let's get back here. As you can see, you saw the loading and then we got the no post found. Alright, so let's also do the same thing when we create a post. And also for this editor, as you can see, the height is too small and we will fix that. So we will need these guys. So let me copy these ones and let's get back to the creating of the post, which is this. As you can see, we have the loading state also here. So let me paste this one over here and we will check for its loading, which is this, and then its error, which is this, and then we say that something happened, and we can use the error message, this one, instead. Alright, so let me use that one, which is this, as error message. Cool, right? And let me remove this one, and let's require the component as that, and let's try out. If I add something, let me try out, and let me add. As you can see, we are seeing loading here and we got the data. As you can see, it has been created. Awesome, right? But I don't want to hide the editor while the post is being created. Therefore, I'm going to remove the loading from here, which is this, and then use it inside the form itself. So I'm going to copy this, or let me cut it, and then bring it here as show alert. Where for this one, unless we modify the way we are using it, so let me cut this one from here, and then it goes like this. We're going to use ternary operator here. If it is loading, then end operator, and then inject the alert message. Awesome. So now let's create one, and let me remove. I think I see some. It's loading somewhere here. Yeah, this one. Remove it. All right. So let me try something, and let's see. And as you can see, we have loading and we have the success. So we can also display the success So here I'm going to duplicate and I will say a success. Remember, we have the state here as that, and we will say that post created successfully. And let's change the type to success. As you can see, post created successfully. And let's also increase the editor. So inside the React query, we're going to pass in what is called class name and give it a height of 20 pixels. All right, let me increase it to something like 40. All right, cool. Don't worry, we will also fix the category when we get there. All right, so let's do it before we even end this video. So for the React query, which is this one, I'm going to provide a class name and say margin bottom of, let me use 10. It's supposed to be 10. All right, cool, awesome. So guys, this is how we can improve the user experience by displaying some loading and error in case you're gonna have one. Let's continue in the next section.